Hey everyone, how's it going? This is M.L.S. Weech coming to you from Arizona. My vacation's wrapping up. We're actually flying out on a plane tomorrow. Super excited to get back home, but super sorry to be leaving family I haven't had a chance to see for years. So I'm a little bit sweet and coming off the vacation high. But as always, we're back to you with this weekly episode where I look at some book covers, talk about why I think they work, maybe give a few ideas on how I might try to improve them if I were the designer. And I am your host, M.L.S. Weech. I am a humble independent author. And if you are enjoying this video or you want to show your support, please remember to click the like and subscribe button, the little bell notification button. Pretty much if there's anything down below there, could you just click it for me? I'm sure it'd be awesome. And if you want to support my work as an author or even just see what I'm all about, click on my author Amazon account. That's also down below. You can look at some of my books and see if you would be interested in one of those. So we've been doing the June book cover of the month, and that wrapped up as of a little bit ago. And so what we are doing now is revealing to you the winner of the June book cover of the month. And that winner was, in my opinion, was a pretty obvious one because it is Animal Farm by George Orwell. And this is obviously a new release. It's a new edition because I only work with covers that came out in the last 90 days or so. And this cover is amazing. I love the color. I love the tone. I love the detail. I love the light. I love the use of lettering. I love the use of framing. Everything about this cover was awesome. And I'm glad that the people who voted for it also agreed with me in that. That's not to say that the other book covers were not good. It just means this one really stood out in what I actually think was a very strong month of book covers. So that allows me to move on to July because we did week 2. And now I get to present you the week 2 book cover of, well, obviously the week 2 book cover of the month for July. And that is Song of the Forever Rains by E.J. Mello. I'm going to let you guys see that one here in just a second. So I really thought that the detail of this was amazing. I think the color is clever. I like the use of the title text. They could have maybe grouped it together a little bit more tightly, but you know, we're nitpicking on what's obviously a beautiful cover. And as always, if you start noticing that maybe you disagree, maybe you think some of these other covers are better, or even you see a cover that you like more, by all means, send me a link, give me a comment below. I'm more than happy to look at other covers. But basically, I'm just a guy looking on Amazon, seeing what I like. So that is the winner for week 2. And now I can present to you the nominees for the week 3 book cover poll. And the first one is going to be Return of the Sorceress by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is beautiful. I'll bring it up and share it with you. The art in this is just stunning. The use of light is amazing. I am not the biggest fan of the text. I think it could have been grouped together. Sure, they're layering it. They're putting the head of the woman in front of some of the lettering, but you could have brought the lettering together and brought it down, or brought the lettering together and brought it up. But my biggest issue is just how far apart, they call that the letting, the space between each line. That's kind of ridiculous for font, but that's different. But it's still legible. It's still easy to read. It still works. And, you know, I don't even need lettering on a cover that beautiful. Next one we're going to talk about is, come on now, is called Vessel. And Vessel is by Lisa Jane. This is very interesting use of color and patterns. The font makes sense, even if I'm not the biggest fan of it. There are some times when I can agree that it's a solid font for the cover design that it uses, even if I'm not the biggest fan of it. And this is one of those times. The use of those colors and how they weave together, and the detail in the line art is pretty interesting. I don't understand the tree and the starscape. I assume that has something to do with the plot. But it is a well-designed and well-conceived cover. I like how the border pattern creates interesting lines that lead to the text. And that's one of the reasons why I thought this one stood out for me. Third cover we're going to talk about this week is Burn the Sky by Lee and Amanda Breeze. So I don't know that I've ever done a book cover that was done by relatives before, but here we go. First time for everything. I think the art on this particular, I don't know if it's, I think it's a guy in a hood wearing a gas mask, post-apocalyptic. It's very, very good for the genre. You take one look at this book and you already know, okay, this is post-apocalyptic stuff. So if I'm a fan of it, I'm going to go right for it. I like the use of the color in the lettering that kind of helps it stand out and have some sort of unique aspect to it. I like the use of tone. The way the face is lit, that accounts for the color of the mask is something some designers don't do. They'll have this dark mask with an orange cover and then color in the guy's face with natural tones. And that can be kind of silly. This designer knew exactly what they were going for. And I really like, they're called sampling. So the color of the author text is matching the color of that mask. And that's a very, very nice little trick. Just kind of brings unity to the whole piece. And so I enjoy it. Maybe if you want to make it a little bit more unique, maybe bring the brightness up on the face so we have eyes to connect with. Viewers really like eyes to connect with, especially when they're looking at a face. But I'm not really losing my cool over it because the guy's wearing a giant mask. So that's a very nice cover. The next one we're going to talk about is Beyond the Wall of Sleep by H.P. Lovecraft. So I know that we just had a book cover of the month thing with George Orwell, and I'm not particularly biased. I happen to have read Animal Farm. I'm a huge fan of that book. I personally have never read H.P. Lovecraft. If you want to give me a recommendation for your favorite H.P. Lovecraft book, throw it on down there, and if I can get it on my Audible account when I'm done re-listening to all of the Stormlight Archive books, then maybe I'll give it a look. This is just very cool. It kind of has a feel of old Greek god painting kind of illustration with a unique art style. It's not as Hellenistic as a lot of your Greek art would be. It's looks more like the art you would see on the pottery than it would in some of the painting of the later days of the Greek gods. But that doesn't take away from the fact that it's a very, very interesting use of lines to create shapes. And this is so well done. A guy who's colorblind and struggles when they're blending colors can really make out the distinctions of the actual figures in there in this star shape that kind of breathes a little bit of Van Gogh influence. Kind of tends to hit me in the nostalgia parts. And so I'm probably a little biased toward this in that regard. I don't think it's the strongest cover of the set, but I did like it because of those particular callbacks to those other art forms and those other concepts. The text is a little hokey with me. It feels kind of slapped on if you ask me. But overall, it's a solid cover, and it's really, really good use of gradients and details to make the image visible, even though the color dynamics aren't very diverse. The next one I'm going to talk about is the EOS Key, which is simplistic, but that's not a bad thing. EOS Key is by D.M. Leary, or Leary. I can't really tell based on how the author text is written. But you got this red flower with a key. I wish there was a little more done to help the key and the S and EOS not really compete for space the way they are. But I love the splash of color. I like the font in this case. And I like the way that the key is moving throughout the rest of the text and guiding the eye through the rest of the cover. I think it's strong, if simple. And I think the text in itself stands out. And when you see good text on a book, it's going to stand out against a whole lot of other books. Sixth book we're gonna talk about is A Glimpse of Light and Glory. And this again is all about line art. I don't have themes when I do this. I really do just look at Amazon and be like, oh, that was nice. That was okay. That was pretty good. But it looks like line art is the theory of the week. And this particular line art weaves well with the font. So this is another good example of when a font works with the rest of a design. I would imagine that this is a custom font for this book, which is, I mean, if you can really do that now, you probably paid some good money to do that, because custom made fonts and having all this stuff designed, everything unique you do to your cover allows you to bill more. If you're a designer, like, oh, you want unique text, I could design a unique text, and then I got to design all the lettering. So these are good things to have in mind. And if you are a designer, I think you should consider including text in that, because again, making everything unique to your cover is what everybody's looking for. And this particular book cover weaves that well. So you have those little artistic color splashes, color designs, those shapes up in the upper area in the starscape. And then what you have is the title text driving everything. I love how understated the author text is, although M.J. Wood is the author of this particular book. Everything's understated because it lets the title stand out. There's a movie that came out a while ago. I'm trying to remember it. Someone's Infinite Playlist. And I think this really harkens to that. But I really love how they had a simple graphic design at the top and let everything weave around and sit on the weight that is the text, which is the dominant visual element. If you think of the title of the book as a visual piece itself, everything else is built around that. And book covers don't do that a whole lot more these days, but this one did it, and it did it well. The last book cover we're going to talk about is The Might of Magic by N.M. Zoltak. That is not a name I made up. That's a real person. I'm going to show you a real cover here in a moment. So honestly, you know what? At the end of the day, dragons are cool. The art of the dragon is interesting, or this dragonelle, or this beast, whatever you want to call it. It looks wicked. It's cool to look at. The light leaves some things to be desired. The text leaves a few things to be desired. But anytime I see a well-rendered creature, I'm at least going to look at the rest of the cover, even if I don't pick up the book. And this well-rendered creature does it for me. This looks to me like an artist put in a lot of work to make a great looking creature and sent it to the author, who then just threw some text on it and called it a day. I could be wrong, but I don't think a designer who would put that much effort into the detail of a creature would then select these fonts and these competing colors. Also, I don't personally think that's what happened. Now, if you're, if N.M. Zoltak manages to watch this and wants to chime in on that, I'm ready to be corrected. It just feels to me like a great artistic work with poorly chosen text. And usually that means a great artist gave a image to an author, and then the author slapped text on there. And that's always unfortunate when that happens. So if you're an author, do the world a favor. Unless you're like a designer, or you teach design, or you work with designer, you've been doing it for a while, and there are situations, but if you're not a designer, let someone else design all of your book. Don't have someone put this art together and then throw some text on there. Now, as for the art itself, the weird, I guess it's a portal or something of that sort, little hard to read as a designer, and the light kind of competes in ways that light doesn't normally do. But it's still just wonderful details, wonderful art. And I want to give the artist a shout out. And even if the artist is the one who slapped the text on there, it's still pretty cool. So those are the 7 covers for this week. You can vote on your favorite down below. This will be the 3rd cover for July, and then we'll pick one more, and you'll be able to start looking at the best cover of the month. sort of a King of Kings tournament in the world of book covers. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please have a wonderful week, and God be with you.